Hello. This is a good day for a full cup of coffee. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me for another Wednesday Pop-Up Art Studio live stream right here on the Living Room Community Art Studios Facebook page. I hope everybody out there is doing okay. I hope you're feeling cozy and warm and dry and that you're feeling inspired in spite of the gray skies we have going on here in Oshawa anyways. I hope wherever you might be in the world, maybe it's a little brighter there. And you know what? If it is, enjoy it. Hello, Amanda. So good to see you. Welcome. I always love welcoming folks. If you're watching and you feel like saying hello, please say hi, just like Amanda did. And if you want to participate and chat with other makers and artists in the community as we go through this next hour and a half, you know you're welcome to. We can't necessarily gather in person the way we used to, the way we'd like, but for now, for today, we can connect online. And if you feel like making art along with me, feel free. Gather whatever supplies you have on hand to do so. Hello, Dan. I say hello to Dan too. Yeah, you can say hi to me on behalf of other folks. I don't mind at all. I know not everyone has, the same kind of internet or Wi-Fi or tech, access as a lot of us do. I feel pretty lucky that I can be here doing this thing with you. I feel lucky and so very grateful when you're spending time with me, whether you're participating in the chat or not. Thank you for being here. But if you do want to join in the chat in the comment section, feel free. If you just like to listen or perhaps, watch, maybe you don't feel like making art today, that's okay too. You can do whatever feels right for you. You can fold laundry, you can, plan some meals, you can do some homework. Hello, Lisa. It's so good to see you. Oh, and you know what? I'm reading Lisa's comment here and it's, oh, goodness gracious. I'm also feeling a little tender today myself, and it looks like I may not be the only one. Lisa's just saying, oh, you had a good cry today because it hit you that something you'd really wanted had come to an end. Oh, wow, Lisa. Moments like that are big, aren't they? Big, big things. Difficult, odd, weird feelings. I know it's hard, but I'm so glad you let yourself have a good cry. It's so important. And again, welcome. We're known as the Living Room Community Art Studio, but I think we're also trying to get the word out there that we are also a part of the Public Crying Collective. Is that what we're calling it these days? It's always good to have a good cry. If you need to, you can do that too. All feelings are welcome here, all thoughts, as long as we're being kind to one another and ourselves, supportive and encouraging of one another, doing our best, because I know it's not always easy. And Lisa says that you learned a lesson. Oh, that someone wasn't meant to be a permanent part in your life. He was only there for a season. Your fitness journey and other aspects in your life, but matters of the heart came into it and it came to an end. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Raise your hand if you've been there before. I think we all have in some small way or maybe big way. That's part of being human. We begin to care for people, and sometimes that care can't or isn't meant to move, beyond that moment, that experience, that kind of experience we share with them. But it still doesn't make it any easier to deal with, right? Interesting. So that's a really good question off the top. So Lisa, this might become a part of the theme for today. Thank you for being so honest and sharing your heart and your experience with us, because you know what? It's good to talk about these things. The question Lisa's asking is, what's our take, my take on people coming into your life for a reason, a season, or perhaps a lifetime? That's a big question. That's a big human question, isn't it? I got lots of thoughts and feelings about that today, and perhaps we'll go through them as we go through the live stream. And other folks, if you have your own thoughts or feelings about that, please feel free to share too. Because the one thing I've learned in the short time I've been on the earth so far is just how precious we are, each and every single human being, and our experiences here. It's just such a wonderful random thing that we're here at all. So every time we have an opportunity, every moment we have an opportunity to appreciate one another and honor their existence on this world, but also how they might contribute to our life. What a beautiful thing to be able to do and to recognize for ourselves and to appreciate on our own journeys that we might be that person to someone else. We might not know who all the time, but Lisa, for example, I know you have that impact on someone else. You are making a difference in someone else's life simply by being here, by being you. And that, of course, is a beautiful thing. So thank you for being here. And we'll continue to talk about that because I think we're in a time of transition and seasonal change. And I think for a lot of us, that tenderness we might be feeling right now is touched or connected to a lot of different things, like relationships that we have that we can't be close to, perhaps relationships that have ended, perhaps loss, a little bit of grief for what we might not have in the way we want to have in our life right now. So many big, big things. Let's be, compassionate and tender and take good care of ourselves today. And we might find a little joy along the way in revisiting those things too, right? Because that's a thing to celebrate, that people and creatures, the animals and so many things, right? They're making our lives better every single moment. We allow them to come in. And hello to Nicole and hello to Wendy. Welcome, welcome. Welcome everybody. And if you're out there and you're watching and listening today and you're feeling like, I don't know, maybe this conversation is a little too much, that's okay. We're going to go in and out and feel all sorts of things today as we create. But if you need to take a break, if you need to step away for a few minutes or come back later or run an errand even, that's okay. I'll be here till around 3:30 making art and chatting with folks and exploring all these things that make us, human? Yeah, humans. We feel stuff. We deal with things. We push through. We're pretty resilient. We're resilient, creative, innovative creatures. I don't know. Not a bad thing to honor that, is it? So many beautiful thoughts right off the top. And you know what? As I continue chatting, I think I'm going to do a little art as I go. So if you have materials on hand that you'd like to create with today, maybe it's a project that's ongoing, maybe you have a coloring book, maybe you want to, start a whole new project and see where it takes you, please feel free to do that. And again, just a reminder, if all you want to do is sit, listen, watch, have us on in the background like a friendly, weird voice, that's okay too. All are welcome. Hi, Shelley. Lovely. And Momo. Hello, Momo from Montreal. And Momo says, hello, everybody. A cold day today, having tea and enjoying the conversation before my next meeting. Little art is good. Yeah, a little bit of art sometimes makes the difference. I'm going to start on a piece I actually did in our Tuesday morning art hive. I'm just going to start with some coloring as a warm-up, so you're welcome to join me. And Momo, I wonder what little art you're working on today. I saw that there was a fantastic giant Francophone art hive online where it seems like if there was a world record for art hives coming together, that would have broken a few. I love that people are still out there, that we're still connecting, that we're still taking care of ourselves using art to do so. It's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And Lisa saying, another good cry after that, and I know I will be okay. Lisa, you will be okay, right? That's something I know. And again, feel free to chime in, folks. I feel like every relationship I've had over my life, they, maybe they've changed or grown or altered. Oops, hello, pencil crayon. Oh no, my camera. What's going on here? Oh, I'm just making things go a little bit wonky. Haha. I feel like every relationship has contributed to the person I am today. I've learned from the people I've worked with. I've grown. Even through the difficult times, maybe especially through the difficult times, that they teach me something about who I am and who I want to be moving forward, who I want to include in my life. It's a really beautiful journey, even though sometimes it's difficult. And a good cry. Well, crying. Oh, I love crying. You know what? I might have a cry after this live stream today. I might just take some time, unplug from everything, turn off my phone, and just let myself have a good cry just because. Sometimes it's just feels good. Feels good to cry. Yeah. And Nicole saying, I talked to someone today who never realized that they'd helped me a few years ago through her job. See, this is a great example. Nicole, thank you for sharing. She was so happy to hear some nice feedback since she was used to hearing negative things. It's always nice to make someone happy. And Nicole, you are a perfect example of that. I feel like that's, I don't know. Some people are on Earth and you think, what are their... what do they bring to this world? What are their special skills? I feel like you are a superhuman, a superhero. That's what I meant to say. A combination of human and hero, I was trying to make up a new world in the back of my new world, a new world, a new word of worlds, a world of words. My brain is got a lot of things going on right now. You might get some creative, expressive new words coming out today. But I feel like your superhero human skill in this world is making people happy. I think you have these beautiful, beautiful little offerings and you bring brightness to the world. You're not the only person out there. There's plenty of folks in the community. But it doesn't surprise me that you brought that gift to that person. And isn't it nice to let people know those things instead of, sitting on them, hoping or expecting one day we'll have the right moment? When is the right moment to let someone know that they've had a positive impact on your life? I don't know. Why wait? Let someone know right now. Like Nicole did. And Momo says, oh, on the note of crying reminds me of the rain and my mom. Oh, wow. Your mom, huh? And the rain. Yeah, the tears. Tears are the rain of our face. Maybe not. I don't know. I feel like each one of us has our own special relationship with crying and a journey perhaps that we've been on, that we've learned to grow, hopefully accepted, what it brings to us. I think letting ourselves have that moment of honest vulnerability with ourselves, it's the first step to really, I don't know, feeling whole, feeling like we are, in charge of ourselves. Does that make sense? I don't know. And Nicole says, thank you so much, Mary. Right now we're painting some clay figures we made during a past art hangout. Oh, I love revisiting old art projects and repurposing them or continuing them. How wonderful. Art projects coming full circle in an art hangout. I love it. And this is what I made during the Tuesday morning live stream. No, it's not a live stream. It's a Zoom art hive that we have. We do a lot of live streams, but we've started doing a virtual art hive Zoom, a couple of Zoom hangouts as well. Just gives people a chance to see one another, maybe get to know one another in a different way. Perhaps you've been chatting with someone online in the comments during a pop-up art studio like this, and then you get to meet them and see them, hear their voice, and suddenly that relationship just deepens a little bit. It's kind of a nice thing. So feel free to join us Tuesday mornings, 9:30. It's an early start, but what a great way to start the day with art and creativity and chatting with really lovely people. And Lisa, nice. This is another great question for Lisa. Lisa, I feel like all the questions you're asking today could be perfect questions for making art. Perfect art sparks. So Lisa asks, what does vulnerability mean to you and what does it look like? Wow. That's a fantastic question. That's the kind of question you want to break out the watercolors, your pencil crayons, and just let it happen. Maybe get abstract with the art making. Just use like the colors that represent vulnerability, the shapes or lines. What does it look like? There might be folks who have other symbols too. For me, interesting. Vulnerability for me means being able to love myself in all shapes, sizes, forms, moments, my good moments, my bad moments. If I can love myself and accept myself when I'm feeling most vulnerable and tender and open to the world, then I can love myself in all the other times as well. And I don't have to feel bad about who I am. I'm a fully capable human being, capable of feeling joy and capable of feeling the difficult stuff too. And I will get through it, just like you were mentioning. Oh, and Nicole has it's a day, everyone. It's another day. What is today? Nicole wants to update us. It's Happy Astronaut Day, everyone. Happy Astronaut Day, everyone. And I suppose if you are an astronaut and you are listening to this live stream, happy you day. Enjoy it. Have an extra piece of cake. And Gabby says, hello, Gabby. Sometimes these people come into your life to teach you something, whether it's purposeful or subconsciously. What's hard to grasp sometimes when we can't seem to understand in depth why they might need to move on. Yeah, but Gabby says, here's a mind blower. Maybe you were actually helping them. And now that you've taught them something new and beautiful, it's time to let them fly. Gabby, so beautiful. So beautiful. And you know what? I've no doubt that in Lisa's case, Lisa gave something, taught something to this person. No doubt at all. No doubt at all that the impact that Lisa had was profound, right? There's not one person that I've met that hasn't been an extraordinary teacher to me. And even though we might not be in contact forever, even when I want them to be a part of my life, it doesn't mean that they're not an important part of my story, right? They're not always present or going to be present in the way they are now. So I appreciate them while they're here. Thank you for that, Gabby. That's so beautiful. And Momo, on the theme of vulnerability, I feel it's that kind of day. I do too. I was feeling this even before Lisa brought it up. It's interesting how it's kind of out there in the world. Momo says, here is a poem by David Whyte. Link to follow. Thank you. We love links here. Vulnerability is not a weakness, a passing indisposition, or something we can arrange to do without. Vulnerability is not a choice. Vulnerability is the underlying, ever-present, and abiding undercurrent of our natural state. To run from vulnerability is to run from the essence of our nature. Oh. Wow. Wow. That beautiful, Momo. Thank you. Oh my goodness. See? Yes. What David Whyte said. Poetry sometimes captures things like nothing else can. And folks, if you're out there, that site, On Being, has so much beautiful poetry. I highly recommend if you're in the mood for a little poetry, a little thought, a little kind of reflection, visit onbeing.org. And the Momo's placed the link right there, and check it out. I think there's a poem for every kind of experience we go through, but it's so great. It's so beautiful when we realize that we're not alone in this experience. And that's one thing that art does. It's one thing that poetry does. It reminds us that we're not alone. It helps give shape and form and meaning to things that maybe we don't quite understand right now, but that we can't quite comprehend or imagine or envision. I like that wonderful question. What does vulnerability look like to you? So folks, if you're joining the live stream around about now, we've had some fantastic questions asked, and perhaps even art sparks. We're taking care of ourselves today and embracing the tenderness that we might be feeling, owning it, loving ourselves, and asking, what does vulnerability look like to you? What does it look like? I feel vulnerability as something to do with being open or being able to be open. Maybe that's what it is. Does that make sense? Because we can't be open all the time. I think it's really good to have boundaries and to understand for ourselves what we need and where our limitations are, and to be able to teach people how to treat us, even though we don't always know that ourselves. So I think vulnerability for me has something to do with being open or being able to be open, the choice of opening ourselves to someone else, knowing, or something else, knowing that through doing that, there might be an opportunity to learn, to grow, but there also might be some sadness, some loss, some longing that comes along with that. And being able to say, I'm okay with that the experience is worth it, that there's value in having this connection, even if it is only for a brief moment in time. I think animals, for me, are a great teacher with regards to that. They don't have a long life with us, not as long as our own. And yet we love them, we bring them into our lives, and every single moment is a gift. It hurts to lose them so much. But everything we gain from having that beautiful energy, that beautiful spirit in our life, wow, what a difference it makes. And I couldn't do without it, to tell you the truth. Couldn't do without it. So it's a choice. A choice to invite those beautiful creatures into my life, knowing that there might be some loss and sadness there as well. But vulnerability can also be joyful, right? Opening ourselves up to the possibility of wonderful experiences, of pleasure, of beauty, of play, right? And sometimes, I don't know if anyone else has had this experience. Oh, I think we got a joke from Gabby coming up. This is awesome. How do we, like, those experiences are, we need to be vulnerable to fully appreciate those experiences, I think, because we need to teach ourselves how to trust pleasure and joy and play, right? Right? It's not always something that feels familiar. So there's a vulnerability in welcoming the good things into your life too. So, all right, Gabby, how do you get an astronaut's baby to sleep? I don't know, Gabby. How do you get an astronaut's baby to sleep? What a community we have here. And there are jokes. If you have jokes about astronauts, feel free to share. Because it is Astronaut Day. I'm just going to color some of these backgrounds as we share, as you warm up. This gray Oshawa day. And it sounds like a bit of a gray, cold day in Montreal, too. Ah ha 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 ha. Oh, okay, you rock it. That's the answer to the joke. How to get an astronaut's baby to sleep? You rock it. Oh, Gabby, that's great. Thank you for that. That is lovely. Yeah, so vulnerability can look like a lot of beautiful things too. It can look like laughing in front of people. It can look like sharing your heart, sharing your art. For anyone out there who's ever shared something that they've created with other people, think about that moment too. That willingness, the desire to have your work received, accepted, viewed, acknowledged. And there's also that other side, you know, the willingness that it's worth it. It's worth it to share it, even though you might not always receive the kind of feedback or acknowledgement you want or need. But without sharing it, without sharing your voice, the world loses it. So that person, that one person who might be affected or impacted in that positive way may not ever experience it if you don't share your work with the world. There's a kind of vulnerability there. It's a beautiful gift, isn't it? And Nicole said, I am using a paint set and thought there was black in it. Turns out it was a different color. So now my car has green tires. And why not? Why can't a car have green tires? Right? This is it. We're breaking all the rules. We're coloring outside the lines. We're talking about art. We're talking about wellness. We're talking about tenderness and self-care. We're creating courageously. Accepting ourselves courageously, opening ourselves up for experiences that can help us grow and learn and be better humans. And folks, again, I'm just one person. There are a lot of different viewpoints and thoughts out there on this. And Lisa, if you're out there on the thought of vulnerability, someone who I've appreciated in my life, an author, teacher, researcher, Brene Brown, you might want to check out her stuff. Brene Brown, I think, has a whole book about vulnerability. Really good one too. So check it out. And Lisa's saying, oh, just thinking about the memories of things. I remember with him how he made me feel so lucky on every date we had, but I feel he was meant to teach me how to love, but I also loved too much and didn't know how to let go. Yeah, letting go. Well, you know what? Letting go isn't always as easy as flipping a switch. I think there's a process of letting go and selecting and choosing what we're letting go of, if that makes sense, right? And it's a healthy and normal human thing. I think everybody out there who's listening or who's watching, even after it's been archived, I'm thinking each one of us can relate in our own way to what it's like. Because everyone's journey is different. And I don't know if you can love too much. That's an interesting question too. Can you? I'm gonna be thinking about that. I think loving too much, if it hurts ourselves, maybe. But what does that even mean? And Lisa, oh, what a wonderful insight to come to. He was meant to be there for my journey of self-discovery and cheered me on, but only for a season. Yeah. I suppose one of the things you could ask yourself is, what are you taking away from that relationship for yourself, that's in yourself, that's a part of who you are now? Right? Because sometimes this is like an interesting something, interesting way to think of people and our relationships and the experiences we have. The things we enjoy or love are often reflections of of things that might already be a part of us. So yes, he might have reflected something you saw in yourself. You might be able to acknowledge it now, but maybe it was already there. And the seasons, the seasons of life. Each one of us learning, growing. And Nicole, oh, nice. Nicole said, I had some background music for a bit. My cat was chirping at the birds. Oh, I love cat background music. I love knowing that they're having a conversation with the world and sharing it with us, because that is an interesting thing as well. Things like meowing. Apparently cats only do that with humans. They only do that when they're around us. They have no need to meow to one another. So it's kind of a gift they're giving when they're sharing that part of themselves with you. Desperately wondering why we're not responding and understanding. I haven't learned how to interpret all the meows yet. I'm working on it, folks. I'm working on it. I was saying in the live stream this Tuesday, one of my cats has learned that they can get my attention by pulling my hair. Yep. I love those cats. Never done this before. Suddenly now, every day, all the time. Just nibbling my hair. The things we all do to get what we need. That poem, Momo, I can't get over it. It's a beautiful poem. After the live stream, I'm going to go and have a listen. Because I know on that site, the authors often read their works as well, and that to hear a poem in someone's own voice, it's a beautiful thing. Oh, for folks who are interested, it looks like the writing group is coming back. Hopefully soon, fingers crossed, knock on wood. We'll have a Thursday, perhaps Thursday, writers group back again. So I know we had a really wonderful time with Danielle working on that. And there was a lot of positive feedback about people wanting to have another space where they could write and focus on that kind of creativity, whether it was poetry or spoken word, perhaps even, writing short stories, novels, whatever, graphic novels, whatever it might be. The feedback was really positive. So we're going to bring it back. So keep an eye out for that coming your way soon. And Nicole says just about her cat chirping in the background. I think all she says is feed me. Yeah, that could be it. That could be all our cats are saying. Could very well be. Oh, I'm feeling nice and grounded now. I could continue working on this. Maybe I should. I like creating backgrounds to use for the quotes we have every day. Oh, and folks, if you're interested, and hello, Joe. If you're interested, because I know you're interesting, our community notice board, our community notes to others board, our community support board post that we do every Monday, which is based on the wonderful cork board we had in the bathroom of the Living Room Community Art Studio, which was where everyone put and created little positive notes and messages and works of art for one another. We're putting the call out. If you would like to create little positive messages in, the kind of thing that would have been pinned up on that cork board at the living room, please do, and please feel free to share them with us. And then we will post them on Monday mornings as a way of starting the week off on a really positive or inspiring or appreciative way, and get those messages of support out there into the community. So feel free to create them and share them, or if you like, I suppose you can also let us know what those messages might be and we can make them on your behalf. And Joe just says, I just wanted to say hello and spread the sunshine. Oh, Joe, thank you. We need some sunshine. That is a lovely thing to do. And we don't necessarily have the sunshine in the way we were hoping this May, not yet anyways. But it will come. It will come. In the meantime, we'll create and manufacture our own sunshine through connecting with one another in community. And that's probably going to only be a matter of time until it's so hot we're complaining about that too. So you know what? If you're somewhere like here where the weather's a little cooler right now, I suppose we can take some time to appreciate that too. And if you are just tuning in for a little bit, hello, welcome. I'm glad you could come by. But if you need to go, that's okay too. The tenderness, part of the tenderness I think we're all experiencing right now, if we're experiencing that, I think it has something to do with just perhaps maybe we all need a little bit of a break. Maybe we'll need a little bit of a rest somehow. A heart rest. And Nicole's saying, I like weather when they don't need to add feels like after the temperature. Yeah, I suppose so. Just keeping it simple, keeping it clear. Yeah, when there's days where the temperature is below this but with wind chill factor feels like this. Yeah, no. I like it simple too. Keeping it simple. All right. Folks, what do I do? Do I start on the other project that I was going to do, or do I just keep doing this? This feels kind of meditative and nice. But I also think well, if I get stuck in with the other project, that would be nice as well. I was going to make, and might still make, a kind of accordion book. There's actually, you know what? I should have researched this beforehand. I thought I would remember it. I should have written it down. It's a kind of book, a folded book. I think it might have its roots in origami. With overlapping pieces of paper and a bookend, so it turns into a kind of like a version of an accordion book. But I love creating them, and I haven't made a book here in a long time. I know near the very, very beginning of the pandemic, when I was doing these live streams, I made kind of a junk journal book with scrap pieces of paper and things like that, and I used it for my cutout poetry. But I haven't had that in a long time. And I think perhaps it's time to make a new book. And this one, what I like about this book too, if you want to make it into a card, you could. It makes a really lovely gift, depending on how you cover the binding of the book. You can wrap it with fabric. You can do so many really lovely things to make it special and personalized. So you know what? Yeah, I'm going to jump over and do that one. I'm going to get stuck in on that. And then I'll return to this. This will be one of the projects that I do whenever I'm feeling a little, because sometimes just coloring, lovely, simple thing, it can feel so good. But for now, let's swap out this material. Get started on this. So what am I going to do here? Well, I have a mixture of pages, things that I've already trimmed up because it saves a little bit of time. I have a couple pieces of cardboard, square, and then a range of papers that I've just cut out from different scraps that I've had around the house. And these papers will be folded up like so, and they'll become pages in our book once all of that's covered. But for now, I'm going to start with covering my cardboard, which will be the bookends. Oh, wow. So Gabby says, yesterday was my birthday. Happy birthday, Gabby. Happy birthday. And given COVID, I thought I'd be forgotten about and or spend it alone. I was simply positively overwhelmed by the, wonderful, by the outdoor or outpouring of kind messages and birthday wishes. I received three people sang to you. That's amazing. That's amazing. So you had three people sing to you. You had three surprise visitors who I chatted with outdoors, 2 bouquets of flowers, and a handmade card. One of my most memorable birthdays yet. The force was definitely surrounding you yesterday. Yes, May the 4th was with you. And happy birthday, Gabby. Happy birthday, in fact, to everyone out there who is celebrating these days. I know today one of my friends' sons, Marcus, it's his birthday today, his 19th. Happy birthday, Marcus. And I know it's been really challenging, hasn't it? For a lot of folks, they're coming around to their second birthday during the pandemic, and such a strange thing. And if you've been coping and getting through, doing your best, congratulations. If you've been making the most out of it in spite of all the strange and difficult circumstances we find ourselves in, congratulations on top of the congratulations. That's resiliency. That's awesome. So happy birthday, Gabby. And Nicole saying, I find it nice to switch up my projects. Absolutely. So thank you. That's some affirmation for me, switching up midstream. I decided to make a doily for the first time in years, and it's turning out well. Oh, fantastic. So you're not painting the car anymore, you're making a doily? That's awesome. I think I'm interesting. I'm just turning this over here and there seems to be some crochet oriented. No. I don't know what that is. It's a maul stick. I'm reading my papers here. Some pages from some old encyclopedias. Yep, I'm going to use that. But yeah, I've been wanting to learn how to crochet for a long time now. And I know doily making is kind of, lace making is kind of connected to that world a little bit. I've seen some of the intricate work you've done, Nicole. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary. So I'm going to make some covers for these books. I'm just going to, of course, where's a pencil when you need one? I've got every other possible art supply on this desk and no pencil? Oh, Cronert, come on. I am going to make a cover out of these old book pages, repurposing as we go. Something I love to do. And let's see. And yes, Gabby, outpouring. I gathered that. Sometimes when I'm typing or putting in comments, especially during live streams, my grammar goes out the window, spelling goes out the window. And then, of course, there's autocorrect, which thinks it knows better than me. And sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. But we get it. I get it here. But on that note, if I ever do autocorrect your writing myself in a complete way that's not right, let me know. Hold me accountable, folks. All right, let's use some of this glue, this zip dry scrapbook glue. Yeah, is it still with me? I think so. Has it already dried up? Oh my goodness, this glue dries so quickly. It's good glue though. Let me get a pin. There we go. Just poke a new hole there. Fantastic. I've grown to appreciate the range of glues we have in the world over this lockdown with all the collaging I've been doing. A strange thing to have an appreciation for, but that's it. That's life. We can appreciate people. We can also appreciate our supplies, our tools. And Nicole's saying, I have a bunch of pencils with black wood that look like ninjas. It's a joke between my friend and I, which is fun to have. Oh, yes, thank goodness for friends, huh? All those people who make a difference in our lives. And wonderful people to appreciate as best we can. I feel spoiled here, being a part of this community. And being able to see people from time to time when I'm taking Alice out for a walk. I saw Dan and Amanda the other day. Ran into some other folks that used to come to the living room. Let's see what I can do here. And even though we can't necessarily hang out the way we used to, seeing each other for like a safe, socially distant outdoor moment is wonderful. And of course, for the friends that I can't see as often, again, just reminded of how, it's lovely. Just those moments of connection that we have. And knowing that they're there even when we're not chatting to them. How many folks out there have the friends in your mind, the people that you think about that make a difference? I think the sign of a wonderful, healthy relationship is that those people don't actually have to be around you to be able to make that difference, that you kind of internalize a bit of them. Do you know what I mean? There's people who make such an impact on you that you begin you can appreciate them when they're not around, but you also can ask yourself, what would they do? Or how would they react in this moment? Or how would they approach this problem or task? We carry around those people that mean the most to us. They're a part of us, which makes the difference, the distance we might have from with one another, a little bit easier to manage. All right. And let's see. But I am curious to see what those black pencils, those ninja pencils, look like. Definitely curious. Oh, I'm going to do that again. Just folding those corners in just to get a nice little edge there. We'll be lining these inside covers in a little bit, so it's always nice to have a little bit of a mitered corner there. Oh, thank you. Nicole says, oh, you'll be posting photos of those ninja pencils after. Can't wait. Can't wait. I was talking about art supplies with someone recently. We were chatting about international supplies. I don't know if anyone else out there has fallen down that rabbit hole of discovering really cool art supplies online that are in other countries. And now, of course, the internet makes them, well, we can have them in our lives if we want to, if we can afford to. But recently I've fallen in love with some Japanese art supplies. Things like erasable highlighters. Just the different ranges of colors that they have in their supplies and their tools. It's like traveling through art supplies. A little bit of travel. So one cover ready to be transformed. Let's get work on this one. Oh, interesting. Nicole says, I also have a pen that looks like an electric guitar and pencils that look like a hammer and screwdriver. What would we do without fun art supplies? I don't know. Well, we'd be okay. But it makes a little bit of a difference, which is so great. Do I need to? I'm just going to wing that one. Just a general idea. Oops. And again, I want to thank folks because a lot of the supplies I use here are donated. So they're all gently used, gently loved. Thank you to everyone out there who thinks of us. And there's still even a few folks in the community that I need to get back to about arranging pickups. And I'm at the point now where I might recommend, if you're interested in having supplies, instead of the supplies being dropped off to us at the living room, if you're someone out there who would like some of those supplies, because I know it's difficult to get our hands on stuff these days. If you live in Oshawa and you might like some things dropped off where you're at instead, let me know. Because as people contact me, I can always say, you know what, we're okay for this right now, but there's someone else out there in the community who is. And perhaps I can arrange a drop-off opportunity wherever you're at. But soon we will be out there again, dropping off supplies, workshop kits. We're in the process of figuring all of that out right now. Might still be a month or so. But we're super excited. Of course, I'm talking about the Mobile Art Studio project. Moving forward as best we can in these interesting times. But we can't wait to be out there again in community. connecting and doing the work that we love, being, connected to people in person as well as online. All right. Oh, getting some buzzes on my phone. Let's see. The exciting gluing point. Of course, folks, if you're out there and you're working on things, let me know what you're working on. We've had some fantastic conversations today about vulnerability, tenderness, learning about ourselves through the relationships we have with other people. Oh, well, that works. But what we haven't really touched upon that much is the kind of creative work that's going on out there right now. I love learning about what folks are working on, always. If you'd like to share or shine a light on what you're working on or things you've been doing, please feel free. In this little book that I'm making, I'm actually thinking that maybe my other junk journal was dedicated to poetry, cutout poetry, but just poetry of all kinds. Maybe this booklet will be devoted to tenderness, to vulnerability, to celebrating and honoring those parts of myself that can sometimes feel awkward, uncomfortable, but also make me the person that I am, willing to learn and grow and experience things. Make me fully human. Yeah. Oh, Barb. Hello, Barb. So Barb, on the subject of friends, says friends are so important to help you learn to think laterally. Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. I tend to think in a linear fashion. I think I do too, Barb. So it's a gift to gain new creative perspectives from people that care about me and allow me to be vulnerable. And that's interesting, isn't it? The best relationships in the world are ones in which you can be fully vulnerable. Relationships where people can accept you and communicate with you honestly, anticipate your needs. The only way you get to a point like that in a relationship is when you allow yourselves to be vulnerable with one another. And of course, taking care of yourself all along the way. What a beautiful thing. Yeah, absolutely. And that interesting thing, how friends can highlight things or compliment the person that you are in really interesting ways. Yeah. Yeah, so what perhaps you lack or the things that aren't natural strengths, perhaps, is one way of saying it. There's going to be other people in our lives who can offer those things to us, who can provide those experiences, those viewpoints. Let's see. I'm just going to decorate this a little bit. Yeah, my little book of vulnerability. Perhaps that's what this will be. And I don't know what goes in a little book of vulnerability, but in answer to that question that Lisa posed at the beginning, maybe I'll learn. Maybe this will be a place for me to explore what vulnerability looks like. Yeah. Being intentional with what we explore through our art can really be helpful. It's wonderful just to create for the sake of creating, to play, to express yourselves, but giving yourself a theme to work with every once in a while. Permission to explore that theme can be really, really powerful. And as Momo was saying, I think something about little art, little tiny snacks of art, can make those things a little bit more manageable. It's always nice to have a project you can finish, start and finish in one sitting. And maybe especially with these themes we explore, it's a similar thing. giving ourselves a little bit of time each day to explore it. Just enough time so we don't get too overwhelmed by anything. But that we have those little discoveries, we can find those things to appreciate. Yeah. So this will be my little book of vulnerability. Love it. Oh, wow. Okay. So again, shifting gears. Nicole saying I was painting on a paper plate, so now I'm painting my plate. Why not? That reminds me of things what we used to do at the studio all the time. And Nicole, you know Sam. So for folks who are out there who know Sam, who is someone who helped us create the studio and set it up. Fantastic artist and educator and just all around human being. One of the things I love about Sam is Sam never wastes any art supplies. So at the end of the day, and I think I've touched upon this before, if people in the studio had been painting and there was leftover paint, she would gather it all up and then create with it. Just use up all the paint in the creation of something. And this reminds me of that. So if you were using your paper plate as a palette, why not paint the palette? Why not paint the plate and turn it into a fantastic work of art as well? Unexpected art. Art surprises. But I love that. And chances are, I wonder if that paper plate, if that painted plate will become the piece that you love the most. Wouldn't it be funny if it did? The accidental art, the unintentional art became the thing you really, really loved. Yeah. I'm giving myself a lot of affirmations today. I'm just saying, yeah, a whole lot. Let's do that. And there's something about when we make unintentional art, accidental art, leftover art. There's a freedom that comes with that, isn't there? Because we're not as focused, or we don't have the same kind of vision in our mind that we did with the other piece we were working on. I think when we create, you can create with intention, absolutely. But there's something about that process of play that allows for other discoveries to be made. It's almost like exercising our creative muscles a little bit in low stakes ways. Great way to train that inner critic to quiet down. All right. I'm going to decorate this too. I think I'm really enjoying just these organic, curvy, swirly lines. What excellent conversations we've had. Again, a huge thank you to folks who share, who step out to chat. It's not necessary for anyone else out there to join in the chat. That's okay too. But the fact that people feel comfortable enough to share their heart, to share their art, to maybe even share the difficult things they're dealing with, that means a lot. And I hope that you find that sharing it helps you feel not alone, lightens the load a little bit. Hello, Carlos. Welcome. And on the theme of accidental, kind of unintentional, or leftover art in some cases. Carlos says, I think 70% of my art turns out to be accidental and not what I had in mind at first at all. I usually end up liking my mistakes a bit more. See? I know, right? Oh, and howdy. Sorry, I just launched straight into chatting. I hope y'all are safe and well. I hope you're doing okay too, Carlos. And it's okay. You're here, you're participating, you're in the chat. And for anyone else who isn't in the chat, I'm thinking of you too. I think one of the things that has helped me through this pandemic, and again, this relates to a lot of things. It relates to the conversation we were having about friends, friends who are with us, friends who aren't with us, friends who are no longer with us at all, who have moved on, passed on. It has to do with that. It has to do with being vulnerable and accepting and owning and appreciating our vulnerability as a strength. I enjoy this time with you. And I don't always know who's out there. I don't always know who's listening or watching during the live stream. But I imagine everyone out there. And this isn't, this is just for me. It helps to remind me that the community still exists. It helps to remind me. It's kind of exercise those muscles and practice being together, even though we're not together. To remind myself that the world is out there. There's lots of life. There's lots of possibility and potential. And that I'm sharing space. And whenever I think of someone, they're with me. I kind of activate them. I activate the part of them that I've taken inside myself. So it helps me feel less lonely. And hello, Jay. And speaking of birthdays, Jay recently had a birthday. Happy birthday, Jay. I hope you had a fabulous day. How you doing? How's everybody doing? All right. Yeah, so I might move those around a little bit, but for now, that's okay. Let me add some color. I was going to use markers for this, but I think I'm going to use some watercolors instead. Almost dipped my paintbrush in my coffee, of course. Yeah, thinking about friends, thinking about community. You may not be with me, but when I think about you, it's just like you are. I appreciate all of the relationships, every single relationship, even the ones that have been difficult. Because I learn, I grow. I like to think that I've become a better person for having all of those relationships in my life. I've definitely absorbed a little bit of everyone. So watch out when you meet me, just in case. Let me know what your boundaries are. I think that's just part of being human. It's like being an artist, and you know that saying, all great artists steal? A similar thing. We can't help but admire and appreciate the wonderful things that are in our lives. And we take them in, and we might repurpose them, kind of reorganize them a little bit so that they become a little more us, even though they were entirely inspired or introduced to us through other people in our lives. Is that stealing? Maybe. But I think it has more to do with recognizing something. I don't know. Oh, lovely. So Amanda, who I bumped into the other day, and it was so great, said, Dan, and oh, that's so great. You had Dan and you had a good visit with the boys. Oh, or Dan had a good visit with the boys. That's fantastic. Oh, those little ones Gosh, I wonder that maybe they're not so little anymore. That's one thing that happens every time I see the people that used to be little. They're not so little anymore. But I'm so glad to hear that, Amanda. That's so lovely. And I can't wait, of course, until I can see them again in person. Maybe there'll be some creative time in the future. Maybe with the mobile art studio, there'll be a moment of connection and creativity with everybody. All right. What am I going to do here? Don't know. Let's just dive in. I've really been enjoying painting over waterproof or water-resistant markers. It's exciting. I like the texture that you can get from layering all those things up. And Jay says, oh, well, thank you. Well, you're welcome. It was a wonderful day. Jay's birthday recently passed. Happy birthday, everyone. Spent the day with your kids. Oh, lovely. And your best friend brought over a supper and a cake. Oh, friend who is my joint household as we're both single parents. Having those bubbles right now is super important. Yeah, especially for all, like everyone needs a bit of a bubble, right? We all need a bubble. Having that person that you can share that space with through these really weird and uncertain times, so important. I'm lucky my bubble, I've got Anthony, I've got 4 cats, a dog. It's a good thing. But I'm so glad. Jay, that's fantastic. I'm glad you had that chance to hang out and just be appreciated, right? There's another thing, that message right off the top again, returning to that. Letting people know we appreciate them, right? Not holding off, not waiting for the right time. Yeah. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I know a lot of folks are with pandemic birthdays. It's difficult. What do you do? Well, you know what? You just do what you can with what you have. Oh, and Jay says, oh, her daughter is your kid's best friend also. So it's like you are a family. You are a chosen family together. Hello, Simone. Welcome. Simone, I'm not sure if you heard, just another shout out. Looks like our writing room, our writing Zoom might be coming back. We're working on it. We're figuring out a way to make it work. So keep an eye out, folks. If you want to write, if you enjoy writing poetry, spoken word, anything, if you just enjoy having that time that is just for making words happen on paper or digital paper, keep an eye out for that event coming your way soon. We want it to be a weekly thing where folks can create and write together, maybe share their work, troubleshoot, just hang out in that creative space. To keep ourselves a little bit accountable when it comes to that kind of creativity. I think that's important too. So that's coming back. So watch the events page. Let's see. What do I want here? That's what I want. I'll make my little journal here, my little vulnerability journal. For folks who are joining us, there's been a lot of interesting themes coming up today. Questions about what does vulnerability look like? Appreciating the people who pass through our lives, maybe only for a season. It's been a very beautiful day. Kind of a time to be tender with one another and ourselves, at least for me. Having a kind of tender day myself. If you're out there and you're having one of those, just keep taking care of yourself. Just keep in touch with yourself. And oh, lovely. Barb says there is a Facebook group called Durham Homemade. I've heard about this group. So Barb ordered a custom mug rack that a man made from my design. Amazing. It was so amazing to see my own idea brought to life by someone else. Fantastic. I'm going to check out that page. So a Facebook group called Durham Homemade, and another opportunity, another lovely way to support local artists and makers out there in very difficult times. Maybe discover some new creative talent as well. Thank you for sharing that, Barb. And Simone saying, was such an awesome opportunity to connect with everyone through poetry. I know. And it was one of the only times where I got back to writing poetry. So I'm looking forward to it being reinstated, I suppose. We're just figuring it out right now, figuring out the details. But keep an eye out for it. And we'll get back into that kind of creative headspace once again. Because I know that so many things can happen in a day. Just the busyness of life, work, keeping on top of all the little bits of random pieces that make our life what it is. Those intentions to create can sometimes get carried away. And it's so great to have someone there to share your work with, to turn. And we have still to hear some of your writing as well, Simone. I know we heard a little bit, but you have 2 poetry books published. And I, for one, would love to do a deep dive into that and see more of your work and hear more of your work if you choose to read it. So we'll figure it out. And again, that chosen family, again with friends, you know, it may not be our blood family, but chosen family is such an important thing. Yeah, absolute family in my mind. And Jay saying, your kids, both of your kids called both of you mom. That's fantastic. What a beautiful thing to have that kind of strong, powerful family, all of those resources there, all of that love, an abundance of care. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, and interesting. Simone says, yeah, an interesting thing about the group, don't feel afraid to pause and come back again when you feel you again. So maybe I'm wondering what that is. Yeah, let me know, catch me up on if there's something I missed in the thread. I think for folks who need or want to step away, it's a good reminder for me. If you're watching the live stream and you want to take a break, to step away and take care of yourself, such an important thing. Please do that. Please take care of yourself. And I think taking little breaks with our creativity can make a big difference as well. We can't create all the time. So sometimes I know there's folks out there who really use experiences like this or the virtual hives to get the most out of that experience, to give permission to express yourselves in that safe place. Oh, on vulnerability. Thank you, Simone, with that clarification. See, that's the one thing I miss about being in space with people where I can hear people, is so that I can really just have that moment of insight into what they might mean. All right. So here we go. I'm going to fold up a few pages to make my little book of vulnerability. And maybe that's what vulnerability is just noticing, being able to, choosing to be open, being able to be open, but also knowing when to step back and take that time for yourself and close off a little bit when we need to, right? To let people in. And Carlos saying, vulnerability, interesting topic. I've been feeling that these past days. You're not alone, Carlos. I posted some heavy art to my Instagram, Facebook the other day, and I debated whether to post it, but I've oddly had a lot of messages from folks saying it resonated in some way. Selfishly, ? It was cathartic for me, but I hoped it may help someone else along the way. If it did, that's cool. If it didn't, that was okay too. Yet I've had a surprising amount of folks reach out and connect as a result of that. Yeah. Having these conversations about these things that we all feel and all experience, I think is really important. And vulnerability, definitely one of those subject matters that I think we should talk about more often. The dark stuff, the heavy stuff, the difficult stuff that we get through, that we can get through, or we can sit with. You know, that being able, perhaps that's another aspect of vulnerability, being able to sit with something, to just let it be, to let ourselves be wherever we need to be without feeling like we need to be something else other than what we are in that moment. It takes a kind of courage to have that, to be that, to allow that for yourself, and to trust that it's okay. And I think it's a reason that this conversation is happening today in this live stream. It's a reason people are responding to your work, Carlos, because I think we're not alone in that vulnerability. We are not alone, right? And Amanda saying, I wish I had both of my living room coloring books again. Oh no, what happened to them, Amanda? We'll see what we can do to maybe get you another one day. We don't have many copies of the first one, that is true, but we still got some of those second ones. And if you like, Amanda, if there's a way for you to download art, if you go back on the Living Room's Facebook page, there were a whole bunch of amazing coloring pages made by the third year fine art students at Durham College, and you can download and print them off. So if you can find access to a printer and a computer to download them, there's these amazing coloring pages that you can use, and it's almost like their own version of the Living Room coloring book, a new version of it. And Carlos saying, that's right, just people responding to that honesty, the courageous kind of truth-telling that I think is important to do with ourselves. They've connected and shared their own vulnerable narratives, and it's been helpful for both, I think, and shown, it's okay to own that vulnerability when it's okay to batten down the hatches until the storm passes, which kind of touches on what Simone was saying too. Like, there's an ability to be open, and there's an ability to say, okay, I need to withdraw again. I need to go back to my bucket, into my nest. I need to go, batten down the hatches until the storm passes. These are all things we learn to do to take care of ourselves. But they have to be, we have to make, I don't know, I'm not the boss of anybody. Who am I to say this? But I feel like when we have the capacity to choose that is a really powerful, beautiful thing. The only way you become to a place where you can choose that or allow that for yourself is through feeling it, through becoming more familiar with who we are, what we need, how we move through this world, right? What brings us joy, what brings us down. All those things are important to learn about ourselves. And Carlos follows by saying, I think being vulnerable enough to sit with the vulnerability is kind of powerful too. Absolutely. Doing so guilty-free, such an important point, being not feeling guilty about doing that, can take some trust in ourselves and the process. Trusting that we're okay. Trusting that as we are, wherever we might be at, that's okay. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Carlos. Oh, and Amanda revisiting the coloring books. The coloring books got thrown out. Well, we'll fix that one day soon. We'll find a way to fix that. But I'm so sorry they got thrown out. That sucks. There's just no two ways about it. That sucks. And Simone, continuing that conversation. Interesting. And I hope it's okay, Simone, that I'm sharing this. It's in response to Carlos. The first time Simone posted more heavy inspired art, I also had this internal debate, right? I think it's about being in a place. Let's see, being in a place. Oh, everything just got covered up for a second. Come. I'm talking to my computer now. Oh no, the comment got blocked. What happened? Not blocked on Facebook, just blocked from my eyes. Let's see what I can do here. I also had this internal debate. So returning to that comment, I think it's all about being in a place where you can own your own story, especially given if there's an audience, referring to social media. I also had a surprising amount of engagement when I told my personal stories like that on my page. And yeah, I think anytime someone on Facebook or social media, YouTube, when we have that moment of honesty, that it's coming from our heart, and that in a place where it's just as much for us, not necessarily for other people, but as much for ourselves as it might be for others, that sparks, it rings true for people. And again, because we're all kind of connected in one way or another, in that strange, universally, wibbly wobbly, wondrous, weird and random way. We're all human. That's our common ground. I think it's just so helpful for other people to see their experiences reflected in someone else's, to know that we're not alone. It's a beautiful thing. And Simone's saying, yes, being aware of your body budget. Oh, I like that term. Body budget. I really like that term. I hadn't heard that one before. And Simone says, don't make decisions when you feel sad. Don't trust your thoughts when you're down, etc. It's, yeah, like having a relationship where you can understand that negative self-talk, like what's it doing? Why is it here? What's it trying to communicate? Is it what I really need? Is it what I really want? Am I doing this book the right way? Now we're going to find out. Let's see. Here we go. How did I make this book? How did I make this book? I'm going to make sure everything can fold all the ways. And yeah, the only way we get to the place where... Oh, I see now. Oh, I see. Well, there we go. We get to that place by learning about ourselves, by experiencing things, by breaking, breaking through, moving through to the other side. And that isn't always easy, but it's certainly rewarding. Who doesn't want to know themselves? Who doesn't want to be able to trust themselves and have a dialogue with themselves? And folks, if you're watching the live stream right now, you're watching Mary stumble through the creation of her book. Let's see what I can do here. Her little accordion book. But I need to make sure the paper makes sense. Oh yeah, there it is. That's how it works. I got it now, folks. And Simone explaining the term body budget. I love it. It's from a book called How Emotions Are Made. Love it. Love it. That's a book I think, why don't we have those books in kindergarten? How Emotions Are Made. Highly recommend. Taught me so much about the body plus mind plus emotions and spirit, behavior. Absolutely. If we don't understand our feelings and what they're trying to tell us, if we don't understand emotions as tools that we can use to move through the world a little more effectively and to take care of ourselves, more importantly, I think we just set ourselves up for a lot more struggle than we necessarily need, if that makes sense. I love that. So I'm going to check that book out, How Emotions Are Made. Love it. The body budget. We at the living room, we often talk about, we talk about how many spoons we have. And that's, oftentimes that phrase came up in conversations we had with one of our community creators, Margaret Franklin, who's an extraordinary gifted artist, textile worker, embroiderer. There's not one creative, colorful thing that Margaret can't tackle with gusto. But that's that conversation we kept having, because whenever we run low on spoons, we become, I was going to say vulnerable, but not vulnerable we risk kind of becoming vulnerable in that way. That's where we put ourselves at risk, where we're not aware of it. We're not in dialogue with ourselves. And I think it is about awareness at the end of the day. So how many spoons do you have? What's your body budget? I love that. Oh my gosh. It helps let us know when we need to take care of ourselves, when we need to step back. Oh, I didn't want to do it that way. It's happened. That's accidental art, everybody. And Simone says the author of that book is Lisa Feldman Barrett. Definitely checking that out. Fantastic. Thank you for that. Oh, got to take the lid off the glue, Mary. And it is 3:23. This time always flies by so quickly. Yeah, I love that. Body budget, spoons. How many spoons we have? What's our body budget at? What do we need to put aside to anticipate things? Like all these tools that I wish we were taught. I wish we would, and maybe, who knows, maybe we are. Maybe things are different now in schools and maybe kids learn more about these things right from the very get-go. Or maybe you have fantastic chosen families like Jay's where you can talk about things openly and have these fantastic conversations where you begin to learn and trust and appreciate yourself and everything you are. Or maybe you have friends that are there to remind you that it's okay to feel what you feel, and they'll be there to witness and walk alongside of you, to help you name things when you're struggling. We learn That's how we do, us humans. We learn. Just like I'm learning how to fold this accordion book. There we go. There we go. We come through the other side. And I don't know if there's a handbook for being human, but boy, do I appreciate authors like that, like Lisa Feldman Barrett out there, who can begin to give shape to these things and help us navigate them a little, with a little more grace. Okay, all right, here we go. So, I can't call this workshop a tutorial because definitely I was figuring out this along the way. And it's not even yeah. Oh, love it, Simone. That's another great hashtag thing. Name it, don't numb it. Just about those feelings there. Yeah, naming things. Which again, I think is why people resonate when we find those moments to share things, to, sometimes it's because we're naming things. Sometimes it's because we don't know how to name them, but someone else out there might. When we share our stories through art or conversation or a Facebook post or what have you, that's when that process begins, isn't it? We help one another name things, give shape to things, give form to things. And once things have shape and form and they have a name, then we can tackle them a little more easily. So I think I made this book backwards a little bit, but boy, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I'm going to add a couple more pages in here. Let's see. Of course, I try to squeeze everything in the last moments. Do I want licentious to be the word at the top of my vulnerability book? I don't know. What's on the other side? It's all the same. Maybe, let's see. Maybe I'll just cut a square out of these guys. And then who knows, maybe I'll end up doing some cutout, blackout poetry as well. Maybe the universe is telling me, keep writing. We're all just figuring it out, folks. We're all just figuring out how to human. The art of humaning. We don't always do it gracefully. We don't even always do it well, but we do it the best we can. And we learn and we grow. And we teach one another, walk alongside one another. When we're lucky, hold one another's hands and hug one another. All things to appreciate. And I'm lucky because I have you folks to help me along in that journey too. What would I do without you? And every time I come away from one of these live streams, I feel renewed. I feel inspired. I feel supported. I feel cared for. I carry a little bit of all the conversations, the good, the bad, the sad things that happen, the coloring books that get thrown out by landlords. I also carry the joyful things, the birthdays, the mothers supporting one another, helping their kids be awesome human beings. I carry those moments. The joy of creating, of making something new, something completely wonderful out of things, right? We transform one thing into another. All of these things I carry with me throughout the week, and they give meaning to my day. And I just want to thank you for being here and being a part of that. And I really do look forward to the time when we can be together again in person. That is absolutely true. But for now, I'm super grateful that this is here. So thank you. Let's see what we got here. Let's see how this is working. Let's see, do a little bit of that. A little bit of close-up action. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I wanted to put a brad through this. So I might do that while the glue is still a little wet, or I might add some paper on top of it. So I can wind, put a brad on the back and a brad right here, and then I can wind some thread around. And have it be a little book that can tie together and stay closed. A little pocket book. My pocket book of vulnerability. I'll fill out all those pages and figure it out as I go. Yeah. Yeah. Folks, thank you so much again for joining me today. Thanks for being a part of this journey on this gray, chilly day here in Oshawa. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a day where you can feel comfortable and safe and just in yourself in the best possible way, in spite of whatever you might be dealing with today, whether there's struggles or letting go or making space for new things. There's so much out there that's positive and beautiful, and that includes your pain and the difficult things that each one of us might experience. All of it is beautiful and human and nothing to be ashamed of or feel guilty for. Please keep taking care of yourselves. I'm not the boss of you, but if I could leave you with one thing, that would be it today. Don't give up on yourselves and let the love in. Love yourselves. Take care of yourself. Honor your journey. And if you need to, or if you want to, make art about it. Make meaning of those experiences, even if it is dark or intense or silly. Doesn't matter. Let it out. If you need to let something hold the hard stuff, let the art do it for you. And you never know when folks might respond to it when you share it. You never know who might see it or read it or hear it and think, wow, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one who experiences that. Yeah, I don't know. That's something for today. Thank you so much. And yeah, stay safe, take care of yourselves. And until we can connect and create with one another again in person, I look forward to connecting and creating with you right here online, tender or not tender. Wherever you are, you're welcome here, wherever you are at in your life. We'll see you again soon. Yeah. See you again soon, everyone. Bye now.